He hadn't answered their calls in years. It started as one missed ring, then another, until silence became easier than conversation. Tonight, his phone lights up again, her name glowing against the dark like a small mercy he no longer deserves. The sound vibrates through the empty apartment, echoing against bottles, unwashed plates, and the kind of loneliness that doesn't ask to be seen. He lets it ring out. He tells himself he'll call back tomorrow, though he knows he won't. The screen goes black, and for the first time he notices the quiet feels heavier than it used to. What if some calls aren't meant to wait? What if the last thing you ignore becomes the last thing you never hear? Morning bleeds in through the blinds, cold and gray. The phone sits untouched beside an empty cup, still carrying her last message. He tells himself it's just another day, another missed call, another small weight he can live with. But when he opens his messages, the screen lingers. One new voicemail. He doesn't press play. He just stares. There's a faint ring in his ears, a phantom echo of her voice saying his name, the way only mothers can. He silences the phone again, pretending control. But guilt, like morning light, finds every corner no matter how well you close the blinds. He walks through his day like someone underwater. Work emails, traffic, noise, none of it touches him. Every vibration of his phone sends a ripple through his chest. He remembers once, long ago, his mother's voice cutting through rain as she called him in for dinner. That sound used to mean home. Now it feels like something distant and unreachable. He deletes spam messages, skips over hers. Somewhere between convenience and fear, he's learned how to live without listening. But what if silence isn't peace? Just punishment in disguise. That night, he scrolls through old photos without meaning to. Vacations, birthdays, a kitchen table from another lifetime. Her laughter was always loud enough to fill the quiet, but now even her smile feels faded. He stops at a picture of them together. He's young, defiant, and she's holding him as though time could never break that moment. He almost smiles, almost calls. Instead, he locks the phone and lets the memory drift back where it came from, into the pile of things he swears he'll deal with someday. The phone buzzes once more. Same number, same quiet hope reaching across miles. He hesitates, breath caught. It stops. Moments later, the voicemail tone chimes. He doesn't listen right away. Hours pass. The world outside goes still. When he finally presses play, her voice trembles through the speaker. Soft, slow, almost whispering. She says she misses him, that she hopes he's eating, that she loves him. Then the silence after, heavier than any words. His knees weaken. The phone slips from his hand. Somewhere between her last breath and this message, he realizes he's too late. He replays the voicemail again and again until her words start to blur. Each time he catches something new. A breath between sentences, the way her voice trembles when she says his name. He sits in the dark, clutching the phone as though it might bring her back, but it's not her voice he's hearing anymore. It's the echo of every call he ignored, every message unanswered. The room feels smaller now, the air thinner. Guilt doesn't shout. It whispers until you can't tell where it ends and you begin. The next morning, sunlight filters through the blinds but doesn't reach him. He hasn't moved from where he sat. The phone lies beside him, its battery nearly dead. He scrolls through old voicemails, birthdays, reminders, moments he once found annoying. Her voice shifts across years, growing older, softer, more uncertain. Somewhere in those messages, he hears her aging without him. It's a cruel kind of time travel, to realize the world kept going even when you weren't part of it. He finally steps outside. The world feels wrong. Too bright. Too alive. People laugh at cafe tables. Dogs bark. Buses roar. Everything continues as if the world hasn't just ended. He catches his reflection in a shop window and barely recognizes himself. Behind the glass, a mother adjusts her child's scarf, tenderly brushing crumbs from his chin. For a moment, he can't breathe. He wants to turn away, but the ache keeps him rooted. Sometimes grief doesn't make you fall apart. It makes everything around you unbearably clear. That night, he scrolls through his contacts until he finds his father's number. His thumb hovers over the screen. There's no photo. Just the name, Dad. He hasn't spoken to him since the fight. The one where he said things no one should ever say to the person who raised them. The weight of it presses on his chest like a physical thing. He types a message, then deletes it. Tries again, deletes again. There's nothing left to say that doesn't sound too late. Sleep won't come. He lies awake, the phone beside him on the pillow. Every few minutes his eyes open to check the screen for a message, a missed call, something that won't arrive. The room hums with quiet regret. He thinks of the sound of his mother's voice, the one thing he can still play. He wonders if she forgave him. The voicemail replays softly in the dark. Her voice fills the silence like a prayer, and somewhere beneath the sound he makes a decision. Tomorrow, he's going home. The highway stretches like a confession. Every mile feels longer than it should. Every song on the radio sounds like something she would have loved. He drives in silence now. No music, no distraction, just the hum of the engine and the echo of her voice that won't leave his mind. He tries not to imagine his father waiting in that house, surrounded by the things she touched last. The road curves through endless fields and empty skies, and for the first time, he realizes that coming home isn't about distance. It's about courage. Gas station, coffee, cold air. His hand shakes slightly as he fills the tank. The clerk nods without speaking, and for a moment Ethan wonders if the man can see it on him. The grief, the guilt, the kind of silence that comes from losing what you can't replace. He watches a family pull away in a minivan, a mother laughing in the passenger seat. He looks down at his reflection in the car door, tired eyes, cracked knuckles, and realizes he's been driving toward forgiveness, not direction. Hours later, the landscape begins to look familiar. The same roads he once raced down as a teenager. The same old water tower, leaning in the distance. Every sign feels like a ghost, waving him closer. He passes the grocery store where his mother used to shop, the park where his father taught him to ride a bike. Everything has aged, trees taller, paint faded. But it's him who feels out of place. He left chasing freedom but finds himself longing for the life he threw away. He stops at a red light near the old church. The doors are open, bells silent. He remembers his mother's hands folded in prayer, his father beside her pretending not to believe but staying anyway. The memory hits like a sudden wind. He pulls over, steps out, breathes the scent of wet leaves and autumn earth. The air feels clean, untouched by the noise of the city. For the first time in years, he feels the weight start to lift. Not because it's lighter, but because he's finally carrying it the right way. As twilight falls, he finally turns onto the road that leads home. Gravel crunches beneath the tires, the old wooden fence still leaning where it always did. The porch light is on, the same bulb, the same warm glow that once meant come in. He slows to a stop and sits there for a long time, staring. Through the window, a single figure moves, slower now. Older but unmistakable, his father. Ethan's throat tightens. The past sits waiting just beyond that door. And as the engine quiets, he whispers into the dark, "I'm sorry." The first words he's spoken to that house in years. The front door creaks just as it always did. The air smells the same. Dust, wood polish, and something faintly floral that lingers like memory. Every step feels like trespassing through time. He half expects her to appear from the kitchen, calling his name. Instead, there's only the quiet shuffle of his father's footsteps from down the hall. He doesn't know what to say. The last words between them were angry ones. And now every apology he's practiced feels small. He whispers her name instead. That's when his father appears, older, thinner, holding a grief that's learned how to stand. They don't speak right away. His father gestures toward the table. 2 mugs sit there, one untouched, one half empty, steam still rising faintly. The small details break him more than words could. He sits down across from the man he once called stubborn, cruel, distant, but now only sees tired, alone, human. His father doesn't ask why he's there. He doesn't have to. The silence between them says everything. In that stillness, Ethan realizes forgiveness doesn't need to be given. It only needs to be accepted. After a long pause, his father stands and walks to the counter. He reaches into a drawer and pulls out an envelope, creased, stained at the edges. "She wrote this for you," he says, his voice hoarse but steady. Ethan's fingers shake as he takes it. The handwriting stops him. Her loops, her soft curves, the way she always dotted her I's with care. He can't open it. Not yet. The paper feels too alive, too sacred. His father nods once like he understands. Neither man looks up. Sometimes grief is shared most honestly when you can't meet each other's eyes. He walks through the house after his father goes to bed. Every room hums with ghosts. Her knitting basket still sits by the armchair, threads spilling like veins of color across a pale rug. A half-finished puzzle rests on the dining table untouched since last winter. The smallest things become monuments when someone's gone. He kneels beside the chair, runs his hand across the fabric and whispers a promise, not to make things right, but to remember. Because remembering, he thinks, is another form of love. Later, he stands outside on the porch, letter still unopened in his hand. The night air is cool, stars faint against a dark sky. Through the window behind him, he can see his father asleep in the armchair, one lamp left on, the way his mother used to leave it when she waited for him to come home. He looks at the letter again, fingers trembling, heart pounding. He takes a deep breath and begins to tear the flap open. The sound soft but shattering. Whatever waits inside, he's finally ready to hear it. The letter trembles in his hands. Her handwriting feels alive, curling across the page like she's still speaking. Each word draws him closer to the sound of her voice, the warmth of her presence. She writes about small things, recipes she wanted to teach him, flowers she planted last spring, the way the house sounded when he left. But between the lines, he can feel the truth. That she never blamed him. Not once. Every sentence carries forgiveness, disguised as memory. And in that moment, he understands that guilt was never what she wanted him to hold on to. Love was. He reads it again, slower this time. She tells him that time doesn't erase love. It only changes how it speaks. That his father missed him every single day, but didn't know how to say so. She writes, "Your father's silence was never anger. It was fear. Fear that you'd never come home." Ethan wipes his face, staring into the light spilling across the horizon. It hits him then. All those years he thought he was alone. They were waiting, holding space for a son who never called. He steps back inside, letter still in hand. His father stands by the kitchen counter, holding a cup of coffee, as if sensing the change in the air. For a long moment, neither speaks. Then Ethan holds out the letter. His father nods, already knowing what's inside. "She wrote it the night before," he says softly. "Said she just wanted you to know she wasn't waiting for an apology. She was waiting for peace." The words land like prayer. Ethan nods, tears tracing silent paths down his face. For the first time, there's no anger between them, only understanding. They sit together for the first time in years. No small talk, no awkwardness, just quiet. His father tells him about her final days, how she listened to old voicemails from him, how she smiled at every word. even the short ones. She loved hearing your voice, he says, staring into his mug. Ethan closes his eyes, the truth cutting deeper than regret ever could. For so long, he thought distance protected them from disappointment, but it only made love echo longer. Now, sitting across from what's left of family, he realizes that love's voice never dies. It only waits to be heard. That evening, they stand together by her grave. The earth is cool, the wind gentle. He kneels, placing the letter at the base of the stone. "I got your message," he whispers. His father stands beside him, one hand resting on his shoulder. The first touch between them in over a decade. Neither speaks after that. The sky burns with fading orange, clouds drifting like soft memories above them. For the first time, Ethan doesn't feel haunted by what he missed. He feels held by what remains. He doesn't leave after the funeral. One day becomes two become weeks. The house feels different now. Not because grief has gone, but because life is breathing through it again. Ethan wakes early, makes coffee the way his mother did, sets a cup out for his father before he even asks. No words passed between them at breakfast, just the quiet rhythm of two men learning how to share space again. Each morning feels like a new start. Fragile, but real. Outside, the garden waits, overgrown, wild, just as she left it. He finds her tools still hanging in the shed, rusted but familiar. His father joins him without being asked. They work side by side, pruning, planting, restoring. No directions, no arguments, just the quiet scrape of shovels and the smell of fresh soil. Somewhere between weeds and wildflowers, Ethan feels her presence, not watching, but guiding. Every cut, every handful of dirt feels like a small apology, whispered into the earth. Days turn slower. They eat dinners together now. Simple meals, few words. One night, the power flickers out. Robert lights candles, and for the first time in years, they laugh. Not loudly, but enough. The sound surprises them both. Ethan notices the wrinkles around his father's eyes deepen when he smiles. It's the same smile his mother used to wear when they teased each other at the table. The moment feels small, but it fills the whole room. Sometimes forgiveness doesn't need to be spoken. Sometimes it's just shared laughter in the dark. He finds an old tape recorder in the attic, covered in dust. Inside are cassette tapes labeled in her handwriting. Birthdays, family trips, Christmas mornings. He and his father listen together. Voices from the past filling the house. Laughter. Piano music. Her humming. When the final tape ends, silence falls. Heavy but not painful. His father wipes his eyes with the back of his hand. Ethan smiles softly and says, "We should record something new." His father nods. For the first time, the house doesn't echo. It sings. By summer, the garden blooms again. Daisies, lilies, wild mint. The same mix she planted every year. Ethan stands beside his father, watching the colors sway in the wind. "Shed like this," Robert murmurs. Ethan nods, unable to speak. A gentle breeze carries the scent of earth and memory across them both. He realizes that home was never a place he left. It was a love that waited, patient and unbroken, until he learned how to come back. Mornings come easier now. The light feels different. Not harsh, not heavy, just alive. Ethan works in the garden before sunrise, his hands steady, his breathing calm. The phone sits on the porch rail, not buzzing, not demanding. For the first time, silence feels safe. His father joins him with 2 mugs of coffee, and they stand without speaking. The sound of birds replaces everything that used to hurt. The air carries peace, the kind that doesn't need to be earned, only accepted. He finds his old phone one afternoon, still loaded with messages he couldn't face before. Now, he scrolls through them without flinching. Every voicemail from his mother feels like a heartbeat, distant but steady. He saves them all, backs them up, keeps them safe, not to hold on to grief, but to remember love. Then, almost without thinking, he opens his recorder. He breathes in, smiles, and begins to speak. This time his voice doesn't shake. "Hey, Dad, it's me." His voice cracks, but he keeps going. "I just wanted to say, thank you for staying, for waiting, for keeping the light on." He pauses, breathes. "I'm gonna be here for a while, if that's okay." It's simple, honest, everything he never said when it mattered most. When he finishes, he listens to the playback once, hears his own voice filling the room. For the first time, it doesn't sound empty. It sounds like home. That evening, he leaves the message on his father's phone and goes outside. The sky is violet with the last stretch of day. Fireflies blink across the yard like scattered stars. From inside, he hears the faint buzz of a phone, followed by silence, then the soft hum of his recorded voice. His father doesn't call back. He doesn't need to. When Ethan looks through the window, he sees him sitting in the armchair, eyes closed, listening. His lips move, not to answer, but to whisper. "I never stopped waiting." The next morning, Ethan's phone vibrates once. A single new voicemail. He hesitates, then presses play. It's just his father's breathing at first. Then his voice, steady but warm. "You don't ever have to leave again." The message ends. Ethan smiles through tears, eyes lifting toward the sunlight breaking through the trees. He steps into the garden, barefoot on dew, feeling the earth alive beneath him. Some stories don't end with goodbyes. They end with the sound of someone finally answering. More should squeeze and carry in the Lord.